this Cookie Bear. Anyway, here we have a movie that's been requested and or recommended quite a lot. It Follows. I actually saw this one last year in theaters during its theatrical run, and ever since I've seen it a couple of times already. So, spoiler for this review, I love this movie. So, let's waste no time and just dive right in. It Follows. It was hyped up, mostly through social media and word of mouth, I feel, as, you know, it being the next best horror movie. But still, I went in like, we'll see. So, we follow, see what I did there? This girl, Jay, she's just your average teenager, hanging out with her friends, going on dates with the cool bad boy. You've been there. So, one night after casually banging her date in his car, hey, that's from the poster. I feel like it's already somewhat iconic, or are we not there yet? Anyway, what's he doing now? Seems like a bit of a asshole-ish thing to do, which it is, but he somewhat has the right intentions. Because he explains to her that something follows him, let's say it, and that by having sex with her, he transmitted it to her. And it comes in the form of a person, someone you may or may not know, who just keeps following you until it gets you, and then you're done for. Like what happened to this girl. Heyo! Yeah, try and explain that to your friends and the cops. And, well, that's basically the whole setup. It just sort of like follows you. Hence the title. And is it a metaphor for STDs? Perhaps. Probably. Although, in that case, it doesn't really make a lot of sense that a person gets rid of it as soon as he or she has sex with another person. Because that's not really how STDs work, now is it? But it's obvious to make the connection. Although after having seen this movie a couple of times, I really don't watch it, you know, with that in the back of my head anymore. I just enjoy the movie, and well, let me try and explain to you guys why. There's basically two reasons why I love this movie. The simple premise and the overall atmosphere. Let's start with the premise. It just sorta like follows you, man. Is it silly? Maybe, but I do honestly think that it definitely has something creepy about it as well. No matter where you go, no matter what time it is, you always have to be on the lookout. Even though it's just walking, there's a constant threat. I find that creepy. Maybe that's also why I love zombie movies. You know, the ones with the traditionally slow ones. There's just no end to it. A creepy kid, a girl peeing herself, or just a random naked dude on the roof of your house. No problem. It follows. Although I don't really get what the naked guy was going for. Like if he's following her, what is he? Yeah. So yeah. I like it. I do feel like that if you don't buy into this whole premise, you know, if you're not feeling this concept, this idea, you're probably not gonna have that great of a time with this movie, because that is basically what it is. It follows. Hence the title. And in that case, you know, if that doesn't really work for you, that is a shame. But hey, you could always give the movie a chance, you know, maybe for its overall atmosphere. Let's take a look. Like I said, I just love the atmosphere in this movie. A combination of the pacing, the cinematography, and definitely the music. It works so well to create this consistent look and feel. It's like, when is this movie set? There's old TVs and no one has a mobile phone, but this girl, she seems to have a pretty advanced e-reader in the shape of a shell. Yeah, try and say that 3 times really fast. In the shape of a shell, in the shape of a shell, in the shape of a shell. Well, that wasn't actually as hard as I imagined it would be. And where is this set? Well, most likely Detroit, since they mention 8 Mile Road and one of the songs on the soundtrack is called Detroit. But it could have just as well been any random American suburb. It doesn't even really have to be anywhere, if that makes sense. It's just the whole movie has this very subtle, surreal, dreamlike vibe to it. Like, there's almost no adults in this movie. For example, the main girl's mother, she's in the movie, but you never get a clear shot of her. And you just keep following this handful of characters, always just being out and about. I don't know, it's hard to explain. The music by Disaster Piece definitely helps. Oh man, the soundtrack is amazing. Seeing it in theaters with a loud sound system definitely helped. During certain scenes it got really intense.
Hello?
Yeah, doesn't really work if you're watching this video on your little iPhone, but trust me. Again, I just had to buy the soundtrack. The cinematography is great. It's nothing fancy, just nice shots and well, there's definitely some nice locations. It definitely had this indie feel to it. I love how some of these shots perfectly line up with the framing. And finally, I really like the cast and their performances. It's really an ensemble cast of unknowns, but I think they did a great job. I actually know this guy, Keir. Or well, he's the ex-boyfriend of the sister of the boyfriend of the cousin of my girlfriend. So, no, I don't really know him. But my girlfriend's hung out with him, that's something. But yeah, anyway, what's there to say about this movie? It's the atmosphere, man. And, you know, is it very John Carpenter-ish, the atmosphere? Sure. Does that matter? No, not in my opinion. I think this movie definitely stands on its own. It all just works so well together, you know, it all fits, all the pieces fit. Even the somewhat slow pacing. Because, yes, it is rather slow, perhaps? I mean, I can understand people saying that they find this movie boring. Although, in my opinion, I honestly never experienced this movie as being boring. And that's after having seen it like 4 or 5 times. I really appreciate the pacing, and it's pretty consistent throughout the whole movie. One last thing though, with this being a horror movie, is it scary? I like how IMDb also lists it, that's actually harder for me to say 3 times, lists it as fantasy and mystery, because in my opinion it's not scary. Sure, it definitely has its creepy moments, but I wouldn't really call it scary. It's actually not even that bad of an idea to take in consideration the whole fantasy/mystery approach to it. You know, in line with the whole somewhat surreal, dreamy vibe, it kinda makes sense. Also, no jump scares, gotta appreciate that. So, in conclusion, I love this movie. I'm not the biggest fan of everything that happens towards the end, but I did appreciate the somewhat ambiguous/open ending. I also found this really extensive 3-part analysis of the movie that goes into ridiculous depth. I tried to read it, but I was like, fuck that shit. Really, I don't want to overthink it. It's just a small, creepy horror movie that just oozes in atmosphere, and that's exactly what I like about this movie. I might be a little late with this video, but hey, what you gonna do? And so, what did you guys think? Let me know, and cheers.